In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt podcast,
we unpack a fantastic new way to keep your motorhome safe from theft.
The Pathway 4G Gen 2 is on the way. Pre-orders will be opening for delivery in July.
And we answer your questions on insurance, discount codes, best campervan for dogs and tow bars for scooters.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights and expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans. And it's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Right.
Now remember, please do follow on your favourite podcast app, or if you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe and that little bell.
First of all, we must say we've moved into a new studio.
Woohoo! Did you notice?
Are you eagle-eyed enough to notice?
We are in a brand new studio. We have relocated it to another part of our building, giving our shop team more space. We were based in a corner of the warehouse before. As glamorous it looked, it really wasn't behind the camera. But now we have our own dedicated space. And if you ever come to our North Somerset shop in Hewish, I'm sure if you ask one of the team if you can see it, they'll show you.
Okay, product feature of the week. I mentioned it in the intro. The Pathway 4G Gen 2 is here.
Yes.
What is it and when's it available?
It is the Pathway 4G Gen 2. That's what we're calling it. It has got some new features. It's got stronger aerials, meaning it will pick up a signal from even further away. This is one of the big compliments the product gets, isn't it? That the fact it will pick up a signal when your phone has none.
Well, I must explain to somebody who might be just sort of tuning in for the first time. This is giving you Wi-Fi in your motorhome or caravan, isn't it?
Yeah, or anywhere, in fact. Yeah, in your summer house, in your hotel room. And you just lick and stick it to the mirror or the window or the wall. It also has a new chipset, which means the circuit board inside, making it much simpler if you're leaving the UK. There are no settings to change. So the first generation, sometimes, depending on the SIM card, you had to change some settings in it, which was a bit of a challenge for some users. Our team here, though, are fantastic at supporting people through that. You don't need to do that with this new circuit board. And the big one, it's battery powered, so it's going to be USB-C compatible. So it's 5 volt, which means you can run it from a portable power pack, which is, I think, a massive benefit. The price, it's gone up slightly. It's $249.99 is the retail price, but you can pre-order one now from today, and it's just £220. They will arrive at the end of July. Now, the first 100 are going to be available to pre-order. We've got more stock coming in August and September, but if you pre-order, it will be discounted down to £220, and you will have it for the end of July. So get yours, the Pathway 4G Gen 2.
Oh, so where do people go to pre-order?
Just go to thatleisureshop.com and you'll see Pathway 4G on the front of the website. It's time for our monthly show feature, and this one is a little bit different. I'm stood at Newbury Showground with Peter Vaughan.
And we're on the top of a mound because...
Why?
This is not a conventional motorhome show, it's going to be a Land Rover show, the big Land Rover Festival, brand new event here at Newbury.
And it, as you say, this is a launch event, brand new in the Warner's calendar. You can come and camp at it as well. Motorhomes, caravans, campervans are going to be welcome, and there's a lot going on.
And just like all the traditional Warner's events, there'll be lots of entertainment in the evening.
Yeah, live music all weekend. We've got Luke Coombs UK. He played last year at Malvern, a brilliant country tribute act to Luke Coombs. And then we've got Ultra 90s versus 2000s. They were at Camp Out, weren't they?
Yeah, and the music theme is very much like Camp Out here.
Yeah, it's a very family-friendly festival, so the kids are welcome too. So there's so much going on weekend. But the highlight is going to be where we are stood right now. This is the off-road driving experience where you can bring your own Land Rover or maybe something else and have a go around this. It's going to be great fun, isn't it?
It sounds, quite epic climbing up that slope.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to bring my motorhome over here.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So we've got this huge mound. We've got the elephant footsteps. I love that, where the cars are tilted from left to right. Plus, we've got
There's a great big dip over there that you're going to disappear into.
Yeah, so it's going to be a challenge. There are some easier parts of the course. You can choose to take the harder bits if you want to. But if you're brave enough, you can bring your very own Land Rover or off-road capable vehicle around this brilliant course that has been built specially for this great festival.
And there'll be the usual trade area with camping accessories, Land Rover clubs and an auto jumble as well.
Yes, so the trade area really does have a Land Rover theme though, doesn't it?
Yes.
So yes, you can buy your outdoor furniture and so on if you're here in your motorhome and campervan. But this is all about the Land Rover spares, accessories and auto jumble that you might want to buy for your 4x4.
If you went to camp out, there'll be lots of family-friendly activities too.
Yeah, we've got the Jitterbug Circus, we've got inflatables, we've got axe throwing. This is a really family-friendly event, a great weekend. It runs the 10th, 11th and 12th of July for campers. So you arrive on the 10th. For day visitors, you can come to the show on the 11th and 12th of July. So Peter, how much does it cost?
Camping for the 3 nights and all the entertainment is from £136 and day visitors from £20.
And under 16s are free.
Yep, and you can bring your dog as well.
Dog's welcome too. And there is a discount code as well on the day ticket and the camping price. Just use the code Motorhome Matt and get 10% off your weekend camping fee or 20% off your day ticket, making it even better value. You can find out more about all of Warner's shows. Just head to mhmp.info/Warners. Peter, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm getting a nosebleed up here. Let's go on down. Don't fall over.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast with me, Keith Gooden.
And me, Motorhome Matt.
In this week's episode, we're talking about securing your motorhome. What's it all about then,
Yeah,
Matt?
so I love innovation. I'm always saying if you don't innovate, you evaporate. And I'm always trying to seek it out. And this week, I believe I have found it. This is such a simple idea. It's a brand new product from the company Datatag, and it's designed to keep your motorhome or campervan secure for an incredible low price.
Tim Booth joined you, didn't he? He's Specialist Security Advisor to Datatag and former Leisure Vehicles Officer at NaVCIS, not NaVCIS, which is what I called it before we started recording. That's the National Vehicle Crime Intelligence Service.
A very warm welcome to the studio, Tim. This has been a long while coming.
A long time since we met each other on stage, Matt.
It is. We've spent many hours on stages
Yeah.
at big shows.
Yeah.
But welcome to the studio. Tim, just tell, for the benefit of people watching and listening, a little bit about your background. You're a retired copper, but you had a long relationship with leisure vehicle crime.
I do. I mean, I think it's fair to say from the start that I was brought into caravanning by my parents. So my wife and I have been caravanning for over 50 years now. And you learn a lot, and you learn a lot from the people that you meet. But in 1994, I was working as a police officer with Lincolnshire Police, and being in caravanning, became aware of the numbers of people that were having their caravans stolen. And at that time, it was between 4,000 and 5,000 caravans a year. And I looked to do something about this, and where I was based at Grantham, there was a dealer that actually the dealership premises is still there under new ownership, but Grantham Caravans. And one of the chaps there, Eddie Mackenzie Blythe, I went to see Eddie, and he said, yeah, great idea, I'll sponsor you to do some posters. And really my interest and work with the leisure industry started at that point.
Okay.
I went to work with the Swift Group. They agreed to sponsor the first ever touring caravan to policing, and around the country it went, and to national shows it went.
So your police career was very focused on caravan motorhome theft, or originally caravan theft. Motorhomes less prominent at that point.
Very much so. Very few motorhomes were being reported as stolen then. I was actually invited to sit on a Home Office group looking at leisure vehicle crime, and that was back in the days of Vernon Coker, so that shows how old I am, and concentrating very much on caravans. Motorhomes were not very much in the area people were looking at back then.
And then since retiring, from police force, you've become very much a specialist and consultant to the security world on leisure vehicle crime. We've seen you on the telly many times, stopping caravans in your high vis.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. When I left Lincolnshire Police, I was fortunate to be approached by the then Director General of the Camping and Caravanning Club. Again, I've done work with the clubs and the National Caravan Council. And at the same time, the late David Ainsworth, who was then the Assistant Chief Constable of Wiltshire, was setting up a new policing unit called the Association of Chief Police Officers Vehicle Crime Intelligence Service. Big name. But
catchy.
But they were looking at all genre of vehicle thefts, and they were out together, David and Mr. Ainsworth, and he happened to say, well, who's going to do your leisure vehicles then? And David said, well, I think I might know somebody.
Yeah.
And that was my in to what is now the National Vehicle Crime Intelligence Service as their leisure vehicles officer. Brand new role from then, and that then developed. And working with them, I've been really fortunate to work with the German police on operations, all the way across Europe, Belgium, Latvia, Sweden. Caravan crime is not unique to the UK, and motorhomes, sadly, is not unique to us. And I was surprised to find more recently really serious problems with motorhome crime in South Africa. So we are not unique, we're not in a bubble here, and the whole world is suffering with leisure vehicle crime.
So let's talk numbers then. So often there's a number banded around that there are 4,000 caravans nicked every year. How many is it, and how many motorhomes are stolen?
Well, it's unfortunate that people use high figures to try and sell product. You work closely, I know, with RIPE, and RIPE actually contacted me before I left NaVCIS, and they were looking at the figures that they wanted to put out. And the figure they produced was nearer to 1,200. And I was pleased to see somebody being honest about the numbers, because that was about tallying with the numbers that I was grasping from the various sources.
Okay.
So well done to them for being that brave. But at that time, we still weren't seeing motorhome thefts being a problem. In the last 2 to 3 years, motorhomes have really climbed onto the radar, and not just being stolen. Like caravans, they're being re-identified so that people buy something that is not the genuine item. They're being misled, basically.
So they're being cloned?
Yeah.
Right.
Cloning is the term where you're going to buy a caravan, that the basic checks that you'll do on that caravan suggest to you it's the genuine item.
Yeah.
You look at a motorhome, all the information you're getting about it suggests it's a genuine motorhome, but it's not. The worst thing with motorhomes is, of course, because they are driven, often it's the driven cab unit that's been messed about with. So it's not the safe motorhome you might perceive it to be. I examined one cloned motorhome which had previously been a van, where they'd cut the bulkhead out of the back and then pushed it into the front of the habitation unit of this particular motorhome that was presented. The problem there is you've got no airbags on the side, no side impact protection at all now. So if you were involved in a collision, that's serious implications, particularly as you've got the razor sharp cutout from where the bulkhead was. But it's big money. The front of a vehicle of that sort of class going out is probably worth £25,000 to £30,000 in parts. Again, similar to cars, they're being stolen, not all cloned. They're sold, chopped down into parts, and they go back into the marketplace. And a cab unit probably returned £25,000 to £30,000. A unit that had been forced together that I looked at in Nottinghamshire, £67,000 a dealer had paid for that motorhome. It was not a genuine vehicle.
Gosh. So this is a real issue, isn't it? The other issue is, as you say, motorhomes being stripped down or being robbed of their fridge, their oven, so the appliances in the back, because these are expensive components. And the cabs that I've seen motorhomes being stripped of their seats, the dashboard being taken out, so core parts of a motorhome.
Yeah.
And basically a structure just left empty in the dealership. It happened not too far from here last year, where there were about a dozen vehicles stripped out and all these components thrown over the fence. And some were sold, some were on display. Nightmare for the dealership. So trying to protect all of that is really difficult. I always talk about security being physical and visible. So wheel clamps, maybe a steering wheel lock, a pedal lock, and making sure that the security on the vehicle is very visible to a thief. So frankly, they just wander down the street to the next one. Sad but true. But Datatag, or a company you've been working with for a few years now, have come up with a solution which means you can actually protect all those appliances in the vehicle and track them and keep them tracked to your vehicle. So if the vehicle was stripped, they could be identified. This is a genius idea. It's very physical. This is the box. Everything is in here. We're going to unpack this. It's very physical and is visible, but very non-intrusive. So I'm going to open the box. It's a very smart box, I have to say.
Nothing to do with me, I have to say. That's the marketing man.
So what is in here then? Talk us through. There we go.
Right.
Rip the box open.
There you go.
That didn't go as smoothly as we hoped.
Yeah. The whole principle of Datatag is multi-layers.
Okay.
And I liken it to, if you and I were going to the Lake District, we wouldn't just wear a T-shirt and a jumper and go out walking into the mountains. If we wanted to protect ourselves, we would take additional layers, additional kit. That's what the Datatag kit does for you. The more layers, the more difficult it is for offenders to find all those layers and defeat them.
Right.
The challenge was not to give offenders the clue to identify the vehicle, caravan and motorhome, at an early stage. So you've got to bring in something that means absolutely nothing as the identifier. And you'll see as you go through these labels, that's what we've done.
Right, so there's a thing where people have been putting their number plate on the roof in great big letters, visible to a police helicopter. This is not quite as, I'd say, intrusive as that, because that's quite a major thing to do, isn't it? But we have got, there's a paper cover on these, so you can't see them very well. We are going to go and fit this to my van in a minute, aren't we? And
we are.
See it real well, so stay tuned for that. But you come with 3 little number plates.
Yep.
Which stick on the outside of a motorhome. This is a motorhome. Is this a caravan kit as well?
It can go on either.
Yeah.
It works on either product across the leisure vehicle market.
So rather cunningly here, this unique number goes on the outside of the vehicle. So in pre-prescribed locations, and it can be scanned and read from a distance, this number. How far away can it be read by a drone?
Well, the first thing is it can be seen.
Yeah.
You're not having to stop the vehicle to check it. You can be on a motorway bridge and see it from there. You could see it parked up. If you didn't want to approach the vehicle for any reason, you can take a picture of it with your mobile phone and capture the image. I've actually done some trials with a police force in the east of England. They actually captured the image of the identifier on their car-mounted camera, and they could read it. That was from about 50 metres away. A drone can capture the images from about a quarter of a mile away. That's the label that's on the roof normally.
Yeah, and these are unique, aren't they? Every kit has a unique number, which is unique to you. So you register your van. So you've got 3 big stickers. I mean, they say big. They're 30 centimetres, not even that, are they? Long. And they go on the outside of the vehicle. And we've then got these micro little QR codes, which you stick in the appliances that a police officer can scan. And so you can hide one in the fridge, the oven, back of the boiler. There's a suggested list of locations you put them.
They're hidden in plain sight. You know your leisure vehicle, whether it be a motorhome or caravan, better than anybody else. So you find places where you can put those little QR codes hidden in plain sight, but not when you look down at it. You need to be on surfaces that are not immediately visible. So when I've done examinations of caravans, you're right, people take out fridges, ovens and all these sorts of things, but if that oven turns up, they may have recorded the serial number, so we can check that way. And one thing about this Datatag system, we will allow the owner or the keeper of the leisure vehicle, they can record that information when they actually register on the system.
Okay. There's also stickers that go in the windows with different numbers on.
You want this one.
That one, is it? Okay.
That's gas box.
Oh, so there's one for the gas locker.
Yeah, and one for near the electrical box. Near the electrical box, you'll normally find that's hidden away, so there'll be a door that you open.
Yeah.
So obvious place, if that goes on the door of the electrical box where that opens.
Mine's under the bed.
There you go. It's well hidden then. But now this is your window label.
Yeah.
What you notice about the window label, if your viewers notice the number is the same on those two labels. It's the same on the QR code, but it's not the same as the one that's on the outside, on the front, rear, and on the roof. But if you check any of those numbers, it will come back to the same asset. And most people recognise an asset, be it caravan, motorhome or car, by its visible identification number, the VIN. So that's how the system links together.
And furthermore, we've also got these RFID. These are really clever. These little stick-on aerials that you hide, and they can be scanned by a handheld scanner. There are 3 of them. And these just stick on, and a police officer with a handheld scanner can find the vehicle in a yard or car park, possibly whilst it's moving. Be scanned from a next lane in a different vehicle. And then we've got the thing I remember Datatag for. So I remember years ago sitting on my knees painting an engine block, and you might have remember this too. This very, very clever, there it is, this sticky glue which has got what Datatag call data dots in there, little blue dots, and the glue is forensically identifiable as well. So you paint that on the backs of the headlights, the engine block, maybe the front grille, the seatbelt mounts. So you're identifying. Look at that; it glows under infrared. I don't know if we can see.
That's UV light. That yes, I don't know if you pick that up.
Infrared, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So a police officer can identify these, and there are actually, I think there are 8 different types of identifier in the kit. So your issue of cloning, if a thief was going to try and rip all this stuff off and recreate all of these labels and tags, that's a huge project, isn't it? They'd never do it.
It's nigh on impossible, but the beauty of the dots is, and we've already said about the motorhomes being stolen and the front being taken away.
Yeah.
Headlights, bumper bars, all those items are very valuable.
Yeah.
And if you find them and you can scan them with the UV torch, you can say definitively that seatbelt assembly, that seat, that bumper bar came originally from this vehicle.
Yeah.
And that's the track back that police vehicle examiners need to be able to show if we're going to try and put people before the courts.
Yeah. So fitting it's dead simple. The instructions come with the kit. You register your account.
There's a basic instruction here. If you scan inside the box, if you just want to open the box up and show, there's a QR code in there, Matt.
Well, I've ripped the box trying to open it. Even the box is really secure.
Very sturdy box.
There we go. We got this label. I was warned these are difficult to open, and there we are.
There you go.
There we go. Here we are inside.
You can see there. So now it says if you scan that for the instructions, and then scan the QR code, and you'll get those instructions as to how to go through the process. And once you've done all that, then you go back to the paper, and that shows you how to register your leisure vehicle on the My Datatag system.
Now, the other thing you can do on your record on the Datatag database, which is all very secure, GDPR protected, you can actually post photographs, can't you, of your motorhome? You
can. An important part of the registration that we felt was that you can identify the asset because they're unique. You've got your Adria, I've got my PLO motorhome. When they came from the factory, they'd be the same as everybody else's that came out of the factory.
Yeah.
Once it's into your possession, you alter things. So for the registration, we will ask you to take a photograph of the front of the vehicle, the rear of the vehicle, and along the near side of the vehicle.
Okay.
Also, a photograph of your registration document. Now, that might be a V5. If it was a caravan and it's registered with the DVLA, it will be your trailer registration certificate. Just for information, if you do that as a PDF file for those documents, when you register, it will come up with a little blue logo saying PDF because they're secure documents. If you JPEG with a normal photograph, it will come up there fine. That's your 4 mandatories. But underneath that is something that I know the industry has talked about for many, many years, and that's your own little personal identification photographs. So, hook in the kitchen, something you've damaged, a bed lat you've mended. You probably remember the story at the NEC where I had the caravan I identified in Ireland, where the man had repaired the bed support, it made his caravan unique.
Yeah.
They're the sort of photographs that we're looking for you to record on there. And if you do something in the future and think, oh, that's a much better thing, you can change that photograph.
So if my vehicle was nicked, the police are going to scan all of this. The police have access to the Datatag database, and there'd be a red flag if it's reported stolen. I've reported it stolen to Datatag. A red flag goes on the account. The police scan it and go, yes, this is a suspect vehicle.
Yeah.
All of that information, though, isn't visible to the police officer, is it? That kind of personal information.
No. What you do, if you're a police officer on patrol, motorway bridge over the A1, that number goes past, you put that into the database, and the database comes back, yes, there's a stolen report for that unit. You'll know where it was stolen from, and then you'll look to try and safely secure that asset.
Gotcha.
Conversely, if you're on a bridge and check that number on the system and it comes back with no reports, you can let it run. Now, I was quite surprised when police officers said that saves us probably the best part of 30 minutes then. So, well, explain. Well, we've got to start the engine, get into live traffic, find a safe place to pull it up, get out of the cars, get on our hands and knees and start doing an examination. They reckon that's 30 minutes. So that's 30 minutes saved because they can check that with a visual identifier.
But also it's going to flag up that it's a stolen vehicle.
If it was a stolen one, you know straight away.
Yeah. So it's going to save the police loads of time, and then they can start investigating and looking at, well, whose is this?
Yeah.
And I presume Datatag would then inform them, who the owner is.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And the other nice thing about this system is if you check that on the rapid system, which is available to police officers as an online check, their account, it will tell them straight away where you are, the time it was. So if you wanted to produce that as evidence as a police officer to where you first saw the vehicle and checked it, etc., you've got that in evidence. The other nice thing is, and we've all seen it on the TV, where a tracking unit is saying that it's in this particular location. Mm-hmm. So you've probably got to get at least a dozen police officers to surround or secure the area and then go and look inside to see what's actually there. With this system, if the tracking system is saying it is in the location, you can put a drone up and fly over. If you can see the code, you can link that back to the tracking system. If there's no asset in there, you know that the asset was there, but they've taken the tracking unit out and left it behind.
And the reality is the police are going to be pretty motivated, aren't they, to go and find these codes, because it's a big win for them for very little expenditure.
It is. If we can save them time looking for things that are not stolen, they've got more time to find the ones that are.
Right, there's a lot of stuff in this kit. Can you show me how we fit it to my van?
We'll do that.
Let's do that. Right, Tim, we're here at my motorhome. It's an Adria Twin, so it's a metal van. There are some pre-prescribed locations that Datatag want us to put the external stickers.
Yeah.
The first is front.
Yeah, towards the front
side.
near side.
Okay.
That gives us all-round visibility. So if I'm stood on, police officer stood on the footpath, police officer parked in a car, that is readable.
Okay.
As you go past. So what we'll do...
Anywhere front near side corner. I have chosen this location here because it lines up with my Van Guardian. You better get this on straight.
That was exactly the issue I had with
So peel the back off. We've cleaned the surface first. That's important, isn't it?
Right, so that's flat on. Now this is the paper protector.
Yeah.
And
there it is.
Once that's set, if you try and peel it off, it will snap into all sorts of little bits and pieces.
Right, okay.
So it's important that you leave it to set and don't play about with it for a couple of days.
Now, the other important thing to note here is this number is a fake number. For purposes of this video, this is not the number for my van. In case any thieves are watching and they just want to make note, this is a dummy set, isn't it? So here's second location.
Yep, rear offside corner. Doesn't matter where, as long as it's in that rear offside corner area.
Okay, and the third location?
The third one is up on the roof. It needs to go left to right, so it reads the same way as the number plate.
Then you need to apply one to your gas locker. Tim is sticking it here by the regulator on the solid side wall. Then you need to find 3 locations for the RFID stickers. Now it's really important that these are stuck to plastic. One idea could be inside your fuel filler cap flap. It's out of sight, and it's stuck to plastic. And then don't forget my favourite part of the kit, the forensic data dot adhesive. Just take it out with its own paintbrush and roll it onto the surface. Don't paint it or brush it on. Roll it on like so. It will dry and disappear. And I've got here a UV torch. Look at the effect it has. You can see it's glowing brilliantly. Now, Tim, we've still got all these QR codes. We've got these 10 for around the outside of the vehicle. Where do they go?
Yeah, those 10, if you look around your vehicle, there's things that open up like the electrics input, water, the toilet hatch, the lockers at the bottom for your wet clothes and all those sorts of things. Stick them on the frames somewhere around those sorts of areas. There's the 4 then that are by themselves. They were initially intended to go on your appliances, so fridge, cooker, heater, whatever. It doesn't matter if when you're fitting them you actually mix them up, because the codes will still all go back to the one main record for your vehicle.
Now, one important thing to note is that each group of identifiers has a unique number, making the whole system incredibly difficult for a thief to fake and create a cloned version. The next step is to take photos of your motorhome, scan the QR code. That takes you to the My Datatag website, where you can register your vehicle on there, and you are all set. Tim, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
That was
good
brilliant.
to see you, Matt. Thank you.
So that's Matt in conversation there with Tim Booth, Specialist Security Advisor to Datatag and former Vehicles Officer at NaVCIS.
So the big question is, what does the kit cost? Well, I've been polling people on this, and I've had guesses from £200 to £500 for the kit, plus a £50 a year annual subscription. Well, I have some great news. It's far less than that. It is only $79.99 for the kit, with no subscription charge at all. And there's a discount code. Head to mhmp.info/datatag for details of a discount code there.
Well, Matt, this all looks fab, but do I really have to have one of these stickers on the outside of my motorhome? I mean, what with other security devices? I've got stickers and lights and sirens and
Sirens?
it makes me itch and all the rest of it.
I guess they are a little bit unsightly, but they have to be picked up by drones or from the over carriageway cameras and by police that are looking for them. So you don't have to put those stickers on the outside of your motorhome. I'd highly recommend you put the one on the roof, but if you don't want the one on the side, on the front and the rear, then you don't have to. They are completely up to you, completely optional. But also to add though, the Datatag, I am dead proud, are Motorhome Matt approved, and you can get your Datatag kit now from thatleisureShop.com. Just search Datatag on the That Leisure Shop website, or pop into one of our shops, and if you use the code Motorhome Matt when you're on the website, you will get a discount off of your kit.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast with me, Keith Gooden.
And me, Motorhome Matt.
And it's brought to you with thatleisureShop.com and sponsored by Ripe. It's our Q&A, the questions and answers, ever such a popular part of the podcast. We've been doing it for a long time. It's where you ask the questions, and Motorhome Matt, that's him. He'll answer your questions, and if he doesn't know, he'll ask somebody who does. Every so often we get a question for our sponsor, Ripe. Today we've got one from Nick Bannister. He says, I'm interested to know if the Motorhome Matt discount for Ripe is a genuine reduction in the price of the policy. If so, one should be able to get a quote and then apply the discount at the end. Is this possible?
Yeah, it is. Anyway, we went to Ripe just to clarify, and they came back and said, hi Nick, yes, this is a discount for Motorhome Matt listeners, which will automatically be applied to your premium if you follow the link through Matt's channels. If you have any issues at all, then please contact us. Thanks, Mel from the Ripe team.
Thanks, Mel. And we must say, and it's our experience, and you've tested it as a secret shopper, haven't you? Their phone response time is 1 or 2 minutes. It's incredible, isn't it?
It's very, very
It's
helpful.
not like phoning the
really
tax
quick.
man.
No, blimey, no. 1 or 2 days, months.
Now, you can get your 15% off your premium with Ripe.
Yeah.
The discount applies automatically if you click the link in the episode description. Rob Johnson's in Cheshire. Hi, Matt, Keith, and fabulous Maddie.
You mentioned Maddie. Your question's in.
Yeah, Maddie's producing. She's behind the cameras. I'm a solo traveller and have 2 medium/larger dogs. I would like a van conversion, but find they're too full of furniture and nowhere to put the dog beds down. Do you have any suggestions for vans, or do I need to go to a larger one, which I don't really want to do? Thanks, says Rob in Cheshire.
Yeah, so I would consider a van conversion with a rear lounge, maybe something like the Devon Aztec, or many others like those from the Converter Consort. There are lots out there, but remember the dog must be crated and secured when you're travelling, or fixed to a seatbelt mount. And if you've got a rear lounge, the likelihood is there are no seatbelts in the rear. Now, I saw a little motorhome recently that had a rear lounge, and the owner had added 2 additional seatbelt mounts to the existing bolts. They'd unbolted the seatbelt and put 2 additional seatbelt sockets in there,
Right.
And then put the bolt back in. I thought it was a genius idea, because they could then put the dog in a harness and clip it into these spare seatbelts. So they only had 2 seatbelt mounts, but now they've got 4 seatbelts. So they could secure the dog, keep the dog safe and them safe. And this is a legal requirement to travel with the dog clipped in, so be mindful of that.
There you go. Yeah, you mustn't let them be just lying on the sofa at the back when you're going along.
On your lap, under the steering wheel. Not a good idea.
Even if you have a minor collision, they turn into a pretty effective missile within the cabin, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Colin Tate's in Chester. Hi, Matt. We are new to motorhoming and have bought a 2012 Def Leths 6.5 metre motorhome based on the Fiat Ducato, and wanted to fit a tow bar to take a scooter with us. Our local tow bar company have said they can't fit one because of the gas bottle housing locker. Do you know if they're right, or are there other tow bar manufacturers that could fit one? If not, should this not be included in sales literature, especially for new buyers who are just learning? Thanks in advance, says Colin in Chester.
Thanks, Colin. Without seeing it, this is difficult to comment on, but I would speak to a specialist tow bar installer, and there are lots around the UK. I did a quick Google search, map search, and not far from you are our friends at Total in Stoke-on-Trent. I would give them a call and speak to them. It's spelt TOWTAL. They are specialist tow bar installers and have been for decades. Give them a shout and see what they say.
And that's the very reason when we ask you to submit your questions, we also ask you to tell us where you are submitting them from, because that answer is a tip to where you can go fairly locally to you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about an hour and 20 minutes away from Chester.
So that's why we ask you to do it, not just nagging. Well, we are nagging. But that's the good reason for it. OK, Matt, how do people get in touch?
We'd love it if you did. Yes, head to mhmp.info/ask Matt. You can record your question with the little orange button, or fill out the form and we'll read it for you.
And if you're looking for trusted brands and services, then make sure that you visit the Motorhome Matt approved directory at mhmp.info/approved.
And remember to follow on your favourite podcast app, or if you're watching on YouTube, please click subscribe and the little bell.